pretty long day of work, this was quite a stress buster, and I would come back in the night and sit through late, late hours in the night and chronicle.
Would you read the things that you've written to any friend to ask?
Oh yes, a number of friends, and I had
because most of them were not historians themselves.
True.
But when you actually made up your mind to put in the hands of an historian, what did you?
I was very apprehensive because Dr. Suryanath Kamath is a name which is taken with a lot of reverence, and the minute, even now when I tell people that Dr. Kamath has certified the book, they say then there's no problem because he is considered one of the veritable authorities on the book. I was very scared, and he took exactly 1 full year to read the book, the manuscript version of the book end to end, and he dissected every bit and told me where I had gone wrong.
Okay. Is this book a rightist view of the royal family of Mysore?
It's neither a rightist nor a leftist view.
Because the Maharaja of Mysore was the first president of the BHP too.
True.
So somewhere did you have such compulsions to portray him as a benevolent Hindu king?
He was
as opposed to Tipu Sultan.
No, he was a benevolent king, no doubt, but I needn't necessarily portray him as a benevolent Hindu king. And it's, as I said before, it's no Tipu versus Wodeyar fight which I'm trying to perpetuate.
But there's a lot of Hindu in it.
Because the Wodeyars were Hindu, and you can't.
But somewhere, don't you think that you're also trying to protect a lot of facets of this royalty? Because somewhere you're trying to say that, look, you need to understand it this way.
See, I think actions spoke better than words, and I don't.
You're also coloring it somewhere, aren't you?
But if
because when you call the book by a name like Splendours of Royal Mysore, you are expecting your reader to wear a certain glasses or look at the book through a certain vision.
The same Hindu king you mentioned also had a Muslim Diwan, Mirza Ismail. And so there was no better proof for secularism as we see it today than in the kingdom of Mysore.
Such aberrations you've seen everywhere, even with some fundamentalistic, even the most, conservative Muslim rulers too had some Hindu divans with them, or ministers.
But throughout the reign of the Wodeyars, at least the later Wodeyars, I don't see whether there is any incident which you can cite where they've been inimical to the minorities or to other sections of society.
And most often you speak also about the projects taken up, about the money spent on developmental works and everything.
True.
Was that actually the focus because of you yourself being an engineer?
That's one section of the book. Since I said the book covers 600 years, it starts with the collapse of the Vijayanagar Empire and ends with the time India became independent. So there is no single thread that goes. The narrative meanders through number of twists and turns.
But the story was set in your mind, so you could almost travel through time and see the whole thing. But was it how, or you put these things in bits and then try to garland them?
No, it was first putting the entire story, and almost every section ends with an appraisal, a looking back, where I, as a historical chronicler, I just sit back and analyze what I've written, which of the myths are are something which we can take for good, and which are the ones which we can dispose. Again, in my view, it may be different from yours or someone else's, but then, as I said, history is the interpretation of the one who writes it.
Why do you think people need to read this book?
They need to read it for a number of reasons. Today, people in Bangalore, in Karnataka, I think we are lost somewhere in an identity crisis. We don't know if all the progress that we see around us just happened one fine morning by the waving of a magic wand by a few multinational companies, or whether there is indeed decades and decades of visionary planning that have gone behind the solid foundations on which Karnataka today, can boast of being what it is. So history is a mirror in which people can see themselves and identify themselves as a nation, as a people. So I think to that extent, it hopes to instill a sense of pride and achievement among people of Karnataka.
But also you talk about how the other kings were contemporary kings of Krishnaraja Wodeyar. So you say, compared to them, he was like a lotus among all the muck that was there.
I've not mentioned it in as many words in the book, but it is a truth. I mean, Krishnaraja Wodeyar was hailed as Rajarishi not by his court, eulogizer, but by Mahatma Gandhi himself.
But and Mahatma Gandhi sometimes also could become a little emotional in
But we need to know where we draw a line about whom we are going to, whose words we are going to take.
But what I'm trying to say, as today somebody having done this, do you feel like you could have called him too in your book?
Yes, I think
Rajarshi?
so. I think so.
Almost all the kings of Mysore?
Not all the kings of Mysore.
As I said, bad kings too?
Of course, like any dynasty has. No dynasty is made of all good Samaritans.
Okay.
The king.
When you speak about the splendors of royal Mysore, which part of that time span are you talking about?
I think the entire period. You started off saying Mysore is a city of palaces. So the very name Mysore.